This is fan fiction only. Star Wars Family Revelation. Fan fiction by Alex McKeel and Joe Mignano. Narrated by Joe Mignano. Featuring the voices of Mearl Crumley as Anakin Skywalker and Shawn Crosby as Rex. It is a year after the destruction of the second Death Star, and Luke Skywalker is now master of a small handful of a new breed of Jedi Knights. Too few in number, however, to rebuild the Jedi Order, Master Skywalker has set out on a quest to restore the Order from an unlikely source. Luke Skywalker, hero of the Galactic Civil War, paced around Senator Leia Organa's chambers. R2-D2's dome followed Luke's every movement, with an occasional chirp. 3PO said to R2,
"Quiet! Master Luke must have a lot on his mind. I've never seen him this concerned."
A voice that only Luke could hear then spoke.
"What seems to be the problem, my son?"
Luke replied back telepathically, "Father, I must do something, and I am not sure how I should do it." The voice of Anakin then said,
"Let the Force guide you."
As soon as Anakin's message became clear to Luke, Leia entered the room.
"Luke, my brother, it is so good to see you. How have you been? I haven't seen you for weeks."
"Where have you been hiding all this time?" Leia asked facetiously. Luke laughed a little and said, "We've been chasing the remnants of the Imperial fleet across the galaxy." Leia then smiled and asked, "So what brings you here to Coruscant, then?" Luke took a deep breath and said, "I have come to you as Master Skywalker, not your brother. Senator Organa, I need your permission to speak to the Republic Council about the reformation of the Jedi Order and the use of the old Jedi Temple." Leia, with a bewildered look, stated, "Luke, you know some of the Republic senators blame the Jedi for the rise of Palpatine and the Empire." Luke then said, "I know, but the Jedi were keepers of the peace, not soldiers, and they were tricked just as much as the old Republic Senate was." Leia sensed Luke's feelings and said, "Okay, I'll pull some strings and arrange for you to address the Senate, but it may be the only chance you get." A loud number of voices could be heard chatting within the Galactic Senate floors. Suddenly, however, a single female voice could be heard above the rest over the internal Senate audio system. It was Senator Leia Organa of the former planet of Alderaan, and the survivors thereof on New Alderaan. Her podium descended so that she could address the delegation.
"At this time, I would like to yield the floor to Master Luke Skywalker, who fought alongside me and many of you against the Empire. He is also my brother."
A loud gasp could be heard throughout the Senate floor. Master Skywalker then began to talk.
"Members of the new Galactic Republic, I come to you today to ask your permission to reopen the Jedi Temple here on Coruscant, to be used to train Jedi Knights and bring the Order to what it once was."
The senators started to gasp in astonishment. A voice then called out above the rest, "Why should we, Skywalker? The Jedi are extinct, and all they were good for was helping Palpatine build his empire in the first place." Luke bowed, saying,
"The Jedi were once guardians of peace, and, like the rest of you, they too fell victim to the plans of the Emperor, for he was a Sith Lord, known as Darth Sidious, apprenticed to Darth Plagueis the Wise. He manipulated not only the Jedi, but also the courts and the entire Senate."
The same voice shouted again, "Why should the Jedi be allowed back into the galaxy?" Master Skywalker replied, "You have my word. We will not interfere with the affairs of the Senate." That seemed to please the Senate delegation, and Luke Skywalker was granted permission to use the Jedi Temple to help rebuild the Order, but with the stipulation that the Jedi could not interfere in Senate business. Master Skywalker approved and made plans to begin teaching his students at the old Jedi Temple. He was eager to get started, especially because of the vast archive of Jedi knowledge it contained. As Luke started to walk toward the massive, abandoned building that served as the galactic headquarters for the Jedi Order for thousands of years, he observed a man who appeared to be tending the temple gardens. Master Skywalker stopped and looked at him for a minute. "Sir, may I ask who you are?"
"My name is not important. I'm just the caretaker of these ruins,"
replied the old man, who looked to be in his mid-70s.
"In these walls are the histories of the greatest heroes of the old Republic. So, my young friend, may I ask who you are?"
Luke replied, "I am Master Luke Skywalker." The old man first appeared inquisitive, and then laughed, asking,
"Any relation to Anakin Skywalker?"
Luke replied back, "Yes, he was my father."
"If he was your father, then who was your mother?"
The old man asked further, genuinely curious. Luke replied, "I do not know. She died when I was very young." Luke then proceeded to enter the temple, thinking to himself that the elderly groundskeeper seemed rather familiar, but was uncertain how. Luke entered the once great Jedi temple, instructing R2 to find a way to restore power to the lights and systems. The faithful astromech did so. As he walked through the temple ruins, Luke found a number of Jedi holocrons. He looked forward to learning the secrets contained within them. Luke continued on. He saw deep burns and scorch marks where blaster fire had hit walls and floors. "I feel so much pain and sadness here," Luke said aloud. As he passed remnants of the living quarters, Luke saw and read the names of some very famous Jedi. "Ki-Adi-Mundi," Luke said as he read the nameplate on the door of one of the wrecked quarters. Luke then saw R2 stopped at the entrance of another room. "What is it, R2?" Luke asked. The nameplate on the door of the room appeared to be scratched off. "I feel something strong here," Luke said to himself. R2 managed to work the door open, and he chirped nervously. A cloud of dust exited the room as Luke entered it. Inside, Luke saw many droid parts and other things that seemed to be somehow out of place for living quarters inside the Jedi Temple. As Luke continued to ponder whose room this was, he noticed a flashing blue light on what he recognized as a dusty but still functioning holoprojector. R2 made a somber sound as Luke activated the holo-viewer. A young female, perhaps in her 20s, appeared. She was beautiful and had the sweetest voice, yet she was obviously anxious, worried about something.
"Anakin, I can see the smoke from here. Are you okay, my love? Please contact me. I love you, Anakin."
Luke continued to stare at the holographic image. "Father, is this who I think it is?" Luke asked aloud. Anakin then appeared, glowing in the blue redeemed aura of his Force spirit, and said,
"Yes, my son, that is your mother, Padme Amidala."
"What happened to her?" Luke asked.
"My son, I loved your mother so much, but my lust for power killed her, and to this day that vision still haunts me."
Despite the apparition of his Force spirit, tears could be seen beginning to form down Anakin's cheek. Luke continued with his questions. What was she like? Another figure entered the room and said,
"Padme was just as resourceful as Anakin, and was in many ways his equal."
Anakin turned and smiled.
"Rex, my old friend, it's good to see you."
"Rex? Captain Rex? Of the 501st Legion?" Luke said, astonished. "I thought you looked familiar. Father, you were the Jedi General of the 501st.
"Yes, my son."
Anakin replied. A new voice, a female voice, spoke unexpectedly.
"Your father was very powerful and a great warrior."
Anakin looked toward the new voice that had entered the room.
"Snips, is that you?"
"Snips?" Luke wondered aloud.
"No need to tell him, Sky Guy. I will. Master Skywalker, I was your father's Padawan."
"It is so good to see you, Ahsoka."
Anakin said.
"As well as you, my old master. Even though I left the Order before the Empire, I couldn't stay away forever, especially after I heard the Empire was no more. I came back to the temple, only to find it like this."
Ahsoka looked around at the ruins of the once mighty Jedi Temple as she spoke. Anakin replied,
I am ashamed of what I did. When I served the Emperor, I thought I was doing the right thing, especially for Padme. She was all that mattered to me. But in the end, I not only lost her, but lost everything and everyone I ever held dear in my life. My son, however, redeemed me, and I have a chance now to make things better again. Will you help me with that, Ahsoka? I'd like you to help my son rebuild the Jedi Order. Help him train new apprentices in the ways of the Force.
I left the Order because they didn't trust me, Ahsoka said.
Anakin then spoke in earnest.
I always trusted you, Snips. You chose a path to follow, and so did I. The one I followed cost me my humanity. If it wasn't for my son, I would have lost it forever. The path you followed brought you back here again. You are like a daughter to me, so I'm asking you, Ahsoka. Will you help me, help my son, rebuild what we once had?
Looking straight at Luke, Ahsoka replied,
I really have come home then. It'll be like family. Master Anakin, Master Luke, I will help you.
As Luke, Ahsoka, and R2-D2 started to head toward Luke's ship to begin their quest to find new Force sensitives to bring about a new Jedi Order, Anakin's Force spirit spoke once again, but this time only to one person.
I have one last mission for you, Rex. Go with them. You know the truth about the Jedi, and people will listen to a war hero like yourself.
It will be an honor, sir.
Rex accepted. Anakin's spirit then slowly faded from view, smiling with pride as Luke, Ahsoka, Rex, and R2 embarked on their new journey together. Pride in his son, pride in his old Padawan, pride in his old friend. Anakin was proud and grateful to have been truly redeemed once and for all.